So this is the second in a two-part video about the sentencing of Alex Belfield, and I'm only doing this because there's been some slightly questionable comments on the back of some posts I made yesterday, and I just wanted to make it absolutely and abundantly clear where I stand and what the Honourable Justice Saini has said. So first, the judge acknowledged that the custody threshold had been crossed and that mitigating circumstances had nevertheless been presented and considered. Secondly, while acknowledging the distress Belfield caused, Justice Saini observed, and I'm going to quote, "You still appear to focus on the impact of events on you and feel in certain respects that you have been unjustly treated." This actually is abundantly clear from the broadcast Belfield made from his own channel yesterday morning on the morning of the 16th. So in summing up, the judge made three central points. One, Belfield's stalking was unconventional but still intimidated his victims by email, social media, Twitter posts and YouTube. He stated that his aim was to haunt his victims. They believed what he said. Quote, "He was true to his word and would never go away." That's what they believed. Two, their feelings of being monitored or followed were, the judge says, justified. Three, the YouTube channel meant that Belfield reached a substantial audience and encouraged others to share, quote, "his highly negative views based on false allegations." Now, online stalkers, the judge says, have the ability to recruit an army of followers whose conduct massively expands the effect of his stalking. This is the crunch. The motivating factor was not journalistic freedom, but personal grudges and responses to real or apparent slights. As for the more detailed comments, the harassment of Bernie Keith went on for 9 years. Bernie Keith, that's the stage name of Bernard Spedding. 9 years. 9 years of that misery. Even when Belfield had been asked by lawyers to desist. The jury heard graphic evidence, indeed, of a suicide bid by Bernie Keith. The judge said, quote, "He was terrified of you." Under the law, the judge explained that the maximum sentencing was 10 years for this. Because of the dates involved, the judge imposed quite a light sentence, therefore, of 2.5 years. The attacks on Ben Hughes were again sustained over a period of time and partly linked to the attacks on Bernie Keith. The judge talked of aggravating factors, specifically involving Mr. Hughes' family and his clients, intending to undermine his business. "You encouraged," says the judge, "you encouraged your followers to contact him, and this resulted in strangers abusing Mr. Hughes, and you allowed details to remain on websites and therefore remain on search engines," as the judge says, perpetuating the distress another for further time. Hence, 2.5 years to run consecutively, not concurrently. The lesser charges of stalking Philip Dehaney and Jeremy Vine, the judge talks about a vicious and continued campaign of abuse on YouTube. Again, 3 points. One, Belfield made false representations as to intended legal action, and Belfield involved the victim's family. This is a feature that runs through the whole thing. Belfield didn't just attack the individual, he attacked the family. Two, it was an outrageous and cruel act to call his mother and to make a recording of that. Three, the offence is compounded by false and misleading comments about what his mother said, seeking to demean him in a public forum. In addition, Belfield sought to humiliate Dehaney about his mental health. The judge said, and I think this is an appropriate and interesting line, the judge said, "I do not consider the fact that you, Belfield, are a member of the LGBTQ plus community means that you cannot have acted with hostility based on Mr. Dehaney's sexual orientation." Again, I do not think that although you are a member of the LGBTQ plus community, that you cannot have acted with hostility. Interesting. Again, with respect to Jeremy Vine, the judge found that your actions, I quote, your actions against Mr. Vine consisted of highly abusive and wholly false allegations given on Twitter and given mass exposure on Twitter and on video. These were allegations to the effect that Mr. Vine had somehow stolen £1,000 of BBC licence payers' funds, and these funds, Belfield alleged, were used to pay for a party following the death of Mr. Vine's friend, Mr. John Myers. The judge says the allegations you made against Mr. Vine were wholly false. You boasted online about the fact that in excess of 400,000 people saw these videos. Again, the effect on Mr. Vine was amplified by the effect on his daughters. So for these lesser charges of simple stalking, the judge gave Belfield 13 weeks each to run consecutively. This is the basic summary. I've summarised as well of the sentencing by the Honourable Justice Saini. And I think it's now up to Belfield to decide what he does next. There have been rumours that he will write an autobiography. I don't think that would be the right way forward. I think he has a choice. He can either now follow the example of Jonathan Aitken and opt for a life that is quieter and try and repair some of the damage he's done by doing some good in the community. Or I suppose he can do a sort of Jeffrey Archer and churn out books. I have no idea what is in Mr. Belfield's mind at this stage, but I am sorry that he's got into this mess, and I am sorry that he is so obsessive and so self-obsessed and self-confident. I don't think he really saw this coming, and I think I think even now he thinks that he can go back to the life he had led. I don't think he can. I think he needs to reflect, make serious changes in the way he behaves. And I think it's a very, very sad story. And I think he's been driven by the lure of social media and the freedom, the apparent freedom that social media provides. It needs, we need stronger support on social media for those people who are producing content for social media. We need stronger support. This is almost a parallel plea to the DCMS ministry, a parallel plea to my plea about reality TV. It's not about policing, but about better advice and better support. With better advice and better support, the tragedy of Alex Belfield may not have occurred. The people that he hurt may not have been hurt. His victims may not have been victimized. And the bad example that he's given may never have happened.